Hello everyone, I am Jenny Longinus, and this Memorial Day I will be coming up on my 3-year coach anniversary. I am a former teacher, now a full-time stay-at-home coach, wife and mom to an 18-month girl, and I am expecting another baby girl 5 months along. And so, as many of you, life is busy, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about setting up your month for early success, because for me, structure and having a plan helps me to get things accomplished. It keeps me sane, and it keeps my priorities straight and allows me to be super intentional when I have that time to work, because balancing mom life and coach life isn't always easy. So for too long, I pushed to hit Success Club in the very last 3 days of the month. Now, no, we only have 2 days left of this month. So as Keyshawn always says, my mentor Keyshawn, if you haven't yet hit your Success Club goals, kindly get off the video and go talk to people. So no matter how close it got, I always made it happen. And so you see that it can be done, but barely. The scramble, the forced invitations, the desperate posts, awkward conversations, it was just stress city. So I would reach my Success Club 10 goal by the skin of my teeth, just hoping that that last order would come through by midnight Eastern Standard Time. For a long time, I hardly went over Success Club 10, just barely reaching my goal, sometimes struggling to hit Success Club 5. So this doesn't sound like early month success, right? But the reason I think I got asked to speak on this topic was because for the last 6 consecutive months in my business, I've actually hit my Success Club 10 goal by the 5th or the 6th of each month. More than doubling, sometimes tripling my Success Club average of 10 previously. And so I've been reaching Success Club 24 through even 32. And so for me, helping 16 people a month is a huge deal and a big increase to what I was doing before. I always heard hit Success Club early in the month, but how do you do that? I was trying, or I thought I was trying, but I was simply just trying. I wasn't making it happen. And I didn't have a plan. So I redid my month calendar because something wasn't adding up. My first 2 years as a coach, I started challenge groups in the very first week of the month. And maybe if Monday was the 31st of the month, I'd start it then. Made sense, right? New month, new challenge group. But for the first 6 months, I did free groups also, like a great new coach should do. But I actually stopped running free groups because they weren't working for me, or I thought they weren't working for me, and the way that I was doing it wasn't working. So I was putting too much energy, and I was feeling like I was putting a ton of time into these free groups and not actually getting any paid challengers out of it. So I stopped. But the problem was my disconnect with my mindset, but also with my planning. I used to think of free groups and challenge groups as two separate entities. And in reality, they're actually a funnel going from one to the other. It's a natural thing. So I used to start my free group about mid-month, and then, like I said, I'd start my challenge group in the first week of the month. So of course there was disconnect, because during those weeks in between the free group and the challenge group, I lost all those people who ever had any interest in potentially continuing on with the accountability that they were enjoying. And I never invited them with intention to connect them from one to the other. The other thing I was doing is I was inviting to my challenge group a couple of times per week, like it said to do on my tracker, each week. There's nothing wrong with inviting. Of course, it's something we all have to do. But the problem was there was no urgency in my invitations or my posts. To my followers, it didn't matter to them. Oh, look, another challenge group post, another invitation. I think I'll pass. and maybe I'll join her next time when she posts about it in a couple of days. We all know that when there's no urgency, things like that don't happen. So it is time to get out your calendars, because here's what I do now to set my month up early for success and create urgency. When making my calendar, I reverse engineer and start with the furthest date out and work my way backwards. So I like to print out a blank calendar. I just Googled blank 2018 calendar and printed it out. And I like to plan out my groups on this before I put it into my planner. So get your calendars out, your planners out, or you should at least have your notebook out, because I'm going to give you 3 things that I schedule into my month to help me set myself up for early success. The first thing I schedule in my month is my challenge group. Like I said, I'm going to work my way backwards. I actually start my challenge group the second Monday of the month. So I know these are backwards for you too, guys, but I hope that the visual helps a little bit. So I am going to, in April, open my challenge group on April 9th, the second week. Now, if this was me as a newer coach years ago, I'd started April 2nd. That gives me 1 day in the beginning of April to help me reach my Success Club goal. And that day is Easter Sunday. So it's not enough time for me to hit my Success Club goal. By starting my challenge group in the second week of the month, I have that whole first week to help myself hit my goal early. So, of course, every month is going to be different, but what I recommend is to not start your challenge group earlier than the 5th or the 6th of the month. So that's the first thing you schedule, is your challenge group. Then you're going to work your way backwards. Number 2, second thing I schedule in my month is open enrollment. This is a specific time period where you are enrolling people into the challenge group. I never had this for a very long time, but now I give myself 8 to 11 or 12 days before my challenge group opens to have my open enrollment period. And usually that's the last week of the previous month. So that allows you to reach some final Success Club goals in the current month, but also helps you trickle some orders into the next month, allowing you to hit your Success Club goal early. So if I take my challenge group start date of April 9th and I count that 8 to 11 days going backwards, that gives me open enrollment starting on March 29th. So I write that down, open enrollment. And this way, I have a couple days left in March to help me, again, maybe get some extra challengers that I'm looking for. But it also gives me a great chunk of time in the beginning of the next month to help me reach my Success Club goal early. Another great thing about doing this is that you can use the Beachbody promotions to create urgency, because a lot of times they change as the new month starts. So when you have open enrollment, now is your time to share about it daily. Share about it on your Instagram story. Weave it into your posts. During those 7 to 10 days, I'm talking about my challenge group a lot, because if you only talk about it once or twice, people might not necessarily see that post or that Instagram story that you do. So open enrollment is your time to really let people know that this is their chance. My followers now know that it's now or never, or not never, but they would have to wait until my next open enrollment starts to be able to join the next month. So it really creates that sense of urgency. Use verbiage like open enrollment, or I'm taking applications for the next 7 days, or you have 3 days left to apply to my group. All of those things create sense of urgency for your challengers and help them just to sort of make that decision if they're going to join or not. they know that there's a system and that it's not just like an open invitation that you can kind of, hey, join me whenever you feel ready. Because as we know, if there's no deadline, then people don't ever really end up joining. And that's the reason a lot of times that you don't hear back from them or they just don't follow through. So that week of the month, I know is my invitation blitz. And it's when I invite people that I've been building relationships with all month. And I generally work a lot harder during those 8 to 12 days. And I know that that's my time to really put the pedal to the metal. The third thing I schedule in the month, after I have my challenge group scheduled and my free group and my open enrollment scheduled, is number 3, my free group. My free group is scheduled 3 to 5 days before my open enrollment. So if my open enrollment is March 29th, my free group then, for me, for this month, it started on March 26th. So I go ahead and write that in. And I start my free group then. And so the end of your free group should mark the beginning of your open enrollment. On this Wednesday, before my open enrollment is actually live and open, posted on my page, I invite my free groupers in the free group as well as in a private message. They're the first to know. Like, they get first dibs. I want them to know that they have priority in grabbing a spot in my challenge group before I actually open it to the public. Because those free groupers are the ones that I really want to work with. They're the ones I've been building the relationship with, and they're the ones that I want to continue on into my challenge group. So I let them know that, hey, this doesn't have to stop. There's going to be no break between your free group and when they decide to actually continue on with you. So let them know that if they're loving it, here's how they continue on, and here's exactly how. Give them the steps to continue on with you. So go ahead and schedule that. So as you can see, I have just 3 dates on my calendar. And that's how I formulate my whole month. Work backwards. I used to be working forward and say, well, maybe I'll start a free group here, and then I'll start talking about my challenge group here, and then I'll start my challenge group here. But working backwards is a way to ensure that you have the right number of days that you need to set yourself up early for success in the month. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my challenge group start dates for the next couple of months if you want to use these same dates too. So like I said, April 9th is my next challenge group start date, May 7th, June 11th, July 9th, and August 6th. But I might have to change the August 6th date because I'm actually due July 29th, so we'll see about that. But those are a great way to set yourself up for success in that first week of the month, helping you to hit your successful goals really early on. Now, I am not the first person to use this kind of system. You've maybe seen it on, other calls or talks before, or maybe your team does this. Maybe your upline puts out a calendar, or maybe they don't, or maybe you're not closely connected to an upline. But following someone else's plan is only so good if you actually understand why things are scheduled when they are, so that you can be intentional about when you share and what you build hype about and when you invite, and hopefully already have those connections built before that happens. So you need to really understand the reasoning behind scheduling certain things when they are scheduled. So are you set up for early success in April? Or maybe you've even thought about May already, now that I've given you my start date of May 7th. Make your plan. I really encourage you to print out a calendar. You can just Google it, print it out for the whole year, a blank calendar, so that you have your start dates, and then you can go and put it into your phone or put it into your planner but that you know exactly when things are starting so that you know what to post and what to talk about when. Again, building in hype and being super intentional about what you're sharing. Starting with those 3 dates, the challenge group, backtracking to open enrollment, backtracking to free group. So I hope that this helps you find success early in your month, not only in April, but on, because the system has worked so well for me for the last 6+ months. Comment below with any questions that you have, because I'm an open book and I like to share what I do. Thanks, guys.